Hey friends, welcome and thank you for choosing to listen today. I'm Bonnie. In the time we have together, I'd like to invite you to slow down a little and join me as we step into the history and culture of China and listen to the myths and stories that have been passed down through the centuries. And of course, if there's a topic you're curious about, feel free to leave a comment or a suggestion. I'd love to explore it with you in a future episode. Today, we're going to talk about why do Chinese people like to drink hot water? In the new year, we will not only continue telling stories along the timeline of Chinese history, but we will also weave in some interesting topics about Chinese culture. If you have any questions about Chinese culture, you are very welcome to leave them in the comments. We can discuss them together and try to explain them clearly. If you enjoyed this show, I would really appreciate it if you leave a comment and give the program a 5-star rating. Your support is what keeps me going and motivates me to continue making this show. So, welcome everyone to the new year. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that many foreign friends are very curious about. Why do Chinese people like to drink hot water? If you have actually lived in China for a while, you will quickly notice that this habit is almost everywhere. In restaurants, offices, schools, hospitals, and Chinese homes. It shows up again and again. Whenever you say something like, "I do not feel very well," or "I feel tired," or "I feel cold," or "I am a bit thirsty," in most cases the response you get is the same. Someone will say, "Come on, drink some hot water." In Chinese, this sentence sounds like advice, but it also sounds like care. Sometimes it even feels like a default solution to many problems. But for many foreign friends, this is exactly the part that feels the most confusing. Why hot water? Why not cold water? Why not juice, soda, coffee, or any other kind of drink? Especially in summer, when the temperature is over 30 degrees, you walk into a Chinese restaurant sweating, sit down, and the waiter brings you a cup of plain water with steam rising from it. At that moment, many foreign friends have the same question in their minds. Are Chinese people really not afraid of heat? And it is exactly from this cup of hot water that many people realize something important. This is not just a matter of personal tastes. It is a difference on the level of culture. Many people visiting China for the first time feel confused at the same point. They walk into a restaurant, sit down, and say, "Can I have some water?" The waiter nods, turns around, and brings back a cup of hot plain water. They are surprised. Not because it is rude, but because it is completely outside their life experience. In many Western countries, water is cold by default, and ideally with ice. In summer, drinking ice water feels enjoyable. After exercise, ice water feels like a reward. Even when people have a cold or a fever, some believe that cooling down feels better. However, if we look back at early Chinese history, we can already find clear records of boiling water and drinking hot liquids in texts from the pre-Qin period. The word soup in these texts does not mean soup dishes as we think of today. It refers to heated liquids. This shows that more than 2,000 years ago, upper-class society in China had already formed a shared understanding that water needed to be heated before use. After the Han Dynasty, drinking hot water gradually changed from a ritual behavior into a daily habit. The Han Dynasty was a very important turning point. On one hand, iron tools became widespread, and stoves and cooking pots became more common. On the other hand, population density increased quickly, and cities and villages expanded. These two changes together created a real problem. Water pollution became much more common. Combined with a colder climate, people became more comfortable with the physical hurt of cold water. China's geography led to a different outcome. High population density, humid and hot climates, and a very long agricultural civilization. In this environment, boiling water was the cheapest and most effective solution. So drinking hot water first appeared as a survival strategy, not a health belief. But then another question appears. If safety was the original reason, why do Chinese people still drink hot water today when tap water is already clean? This brings us to the second layer of explanation. Long-term bodily experience and medical understanding. Traditional Chinese medicine is not an imaginary system. Many of its judgments come from long-term observation of the human body. One of its core concepts is the spleen and stomach. In this system, the spleen and stomach are seen as the foundation of acquired energy. Everything you eat must be processed there. Cold things are believed to harm the spleen and stomach. If this phrase is translated directly, it can sound vague to foreign listeners. But if we explain it differently, it becomes easier to understand. Cold water causes the digestive system to suddenly tighten. In bodies that are used to warm food and drinks, this sudden hurt can cause discomfort, such as stomach pain, diarrhea, tightness, or loss of appetite. You can think of it as the body adapting to a certain rhythm and sudden cold interrupting that rhythm. This experience is not unique to Chinese people. Chinese culture simply turned it into a system and a shared language. You will notice that Chinese people describe physical conditions using words like internal heat, coldness, weakness, or dampness, rather than blood sugar or cholesterol. These words may sound abstract, but they usually point to very specific feelings. For example, after drinking too much ice water, someone might say their stomach feels uncomfortable. Traditional medicine would say, cold has affected the stomach. There are two ways of describing the same experience. When these experiences are repeated, confirmed, and passed down in a group, they become cultural consensus. So, Chinese people do not believe that hot water cures everything. They simply agree on one principle: do not give the body unnecessary hurt. This idea matches the broader direction of Chinese culture. Chinese culture emphasizes balance, not extremes, not confrontation, not chasing instant pleasure, but long-term stability. You can see this attitude in many areas of life. Food should be warm, daily routines should be regular, emotions should not swing too much. Life should follow moderation. Drinking hot water is one everyday expression of this philosophy. There is also another important factor that is often overlooked. Chinese food itself is a warm system. Most Chinese staple foods and dishes are cooked at high temperatures. Stir-frying, boiling, stewing, steaming, and frying are the norm. There is very little tradition of eating raw food. Even cold dishes are often blanched first. In this kind of food system, drinking large amounts of ice water while eating hot food can easily cause discomfort. So hot water plays a balancing role. It does not compete with flavors, does not hurt the mouth, and does not interfere with digestion. Over time, drinking hot water no longer feels like something that needs explanation. It becomes as natural as breathing. Family structure also strengthens this habit. In Chinese families, care from elders is often shown through very practical details. You may often hear one sentence, "Drink more hot water." To many foreign listeners, this sentence has even become a joke, sounding careless or unhelpful. But in Chinese culture, it is not cold or dismissive. It is the lowest cost and most frequent way to express care. The hidden meaning is simple. I may not know how to solve all your problems, but I want you to feel physically better. When a society uses this expression of care repeatedly, hot water becomes emotional language, not just a health habit. Later, modern medicine developed. Chinese people did not abandon hot water after learning about bacteria. The reason is simple: the experience still works. Many people find that even today, cold water still makes them uncomfortable, so they do not force themselves to change just because science allows it. This reflects a very practical attitude. Chinese culture rarely values ideas over bodily experience. Physical feeling is seen as real and trustworthy. So when someone asks, "Why do you not drink ice water?" the real answer is not because of traditional medicine and not just habit. It is because in our history, environment, and bodily experience, hot water has been the safer and steadier choice. This does not mean ice water is wrong, and it does not mean Chinese people never drink cold drinks. Today, young people in China drink iced beverages and eat ice cream all the time. But as a default option, hot water still holds its place. Just like growing up in cold places makes thick clothes feel safe, and growing up in hot places makes shade feel necessary. Drinking hot water is not a belief. It is a lifestyle shaped by history. It does not chase hurt or instant results. It aims for fewer illnesses, less stress on the body, and a steadier life. If you understand this, you will realize that inside this cup of hot water is a basic Chinese attitude toward life. Not about pleasure, but about lasting. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. If there's anything you'd like to learn more about when it comes to Chinese culture, history, or mythology, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this show, please consider following the podcast and leaving a 5-star review. Your support truly means a lot to me, and it's the biggest motivation for me to keep creating new episodes. You're also very welcome to visit my blog, where I share Chinese culture-related content and images from time to time. Just search for Bonnie's Podcast Handbook.blogspot.com. Again, that's Bonnie's Podcast Handbook.blogspot.com. You're welcome to leave comments there as well. Thank you so much for listening today. I'll see you in the next episode.